think those are some things that have been identified in minutes. Now, if there are stuff beyond that, actually, if you want to give this to Bart, that's fine. I mean, it's just a list of already identified things. It's not, you know, it's there. So we've done a list of things already.
Well, and to Heidi's thing, I'm not to jump in there, but we need to have these things in place sooner than later. Ryan can attest to the fact that they're going to be relying heavily on what we do even 3 months ago for the 2014 audit at the end of this year, beginning of next year. So that stuff is coming together. There's just been a lot of trying to take it with a very precise approach. I want to make sure that I see the whole picture and not just a little bit of a blip on somebody's notes kind of thing, so that we don't too narrowly focus in. Yeah, what Tony did was wrong, and it did cause some trouble, but compared to what it could have been, it's actually relatively minor. We only focused heavily on that, we may actually lose some sight of something even more significant. So I'm trying to make sure that I don't completely capture every bit of time on something that the benefit is limited in comparison to the whole. You know, so I'm really trying to work pretty hard on getting it documented right, attacking those items that are absolutely the most critical. To be honest with you, I think that Hyde Bailey did a very thorough job with us this year, but we're compassionate with these findings, as I think that they realize the state of our company. And
oh, they're being compassionate.
Yes,
I see.
I think based on my experience through auditing and stuff, they could have thrown a whole lot of kitchen sink items at us if they chose to. But knowing the infancy of our control system at this point, with me being brought on last minute, it would have been an unfair presentation penalty. I don't know if Ryan agrees with that, but that's my opinion. So I feel like they've given us a lot of very valuable feedback in the findings that they have, and now we will go and implement that, and then next year hopefully there aren't any findings, but if they are, it will be that next level that I think that could exist. And so I want to make sure that we don't have that next level. That's why I'm more thorough than one might.
But when do you think you could have some recommendations?
Well, if I don't have most of this put together by the end of June, we're in trouble for our 2014 audit. So,
End of June?
yeah, I mean, we're definitely getting there. I mean, this audit is taking a lot of time, the rate case is taking a lot of time, but that doesn't mean we don't have it. So
I think we can commit to have recommendations available for the June board. I don't think that will be an issue. Is that okay, Bob?
I'm good with that as long as.
And then also in response, Heidi, to your challenge about our controls, I prepared a document that you've got a copy of, and it's called the Assessment and Implementation of Internal Controls. And I would challenge your thoughts that we have insufficient controls. Every previous audit, the auditor stated that the controls were sufficient to meet the purposes of his audit.
I thought that there was no doubt that Mr. Ogden's audit was not acceptable because of
But
what
as far
happened
as
with Mr.
what we know, like the auditor, sufficient controls existed.
Well, I just thought it had shown clearly that that was not acceptable. So we have a difference of opinion.
What do you mean by not acceptable?
I had thought that because of Mr. Furness and because of the fraud, alleged fraud, that would show on the face of it that the auditor had not done perhaps the job that we would expect when that kind of situation is going on in a company.
That's correct.
And so that's why
And IBACA's has brought out those discrepancies and issues with the previous audit the management really didn't have an opportunity to react to because we were told otherwise in the audit.
Again, I'm not trying to be difficult here. I'm just saying that Mr. Steen at our last meeting made it very clear that we need to follow basic accounting 101 principles. And so to me, this is something that, we want to see improved, regardless of what Mr. Ogden said before, or thankfully what what I Bailey's saying right now.
But without Ike Bailey's audit, all the previous information we had attested that all of those general accounting principles
Do you
were
see why
being
I'm
followed.
concerned about our internal controls? Do you see why I'm concerned? And with what Bart said, it's not as bad as it could have been. To me, when he said it could have been, doesn't that mean that the opportunity was there because there weren't controls in place, that it could have been worse if he had chosen to do worse? Yes, that's what
I'm just saying, anytime you open up a room like we have with Tony's dismissal, you could have found greater issues. So, I'm not saying that this audit is not complete. I'm just saying that they could have really nailed us on quite a bit of very firm language. It wasn't as firm as it could have been. There's no hiding from these findings. These are not good findings. Don't get me wrong there. I'm just saying, I'm a more direct person. I don't like to skirt issues as much as maybe I should sometimes. And I figured it'd be much more direct writing.
So do you have any comments?
I think that I'd follow up to what Bart said about the issues related to Tony and the prior audit. And maybe Ryan can respond to this. The issues related to Tony were based upon the expense reports and the credit card statements over a 3 or 4 year period. And whether or not those would have been caught in your audit, given the size and magnitude of them, which were relatively immaterial, that's what we found was the fraud. And whether that would have been caught in the prior audit or not, I don't know. The adjustments that were made, the $700,000 in adjustments, are things that I think, which are separate from the internal controls in the sense of fraud. Those are frankly, in my view, bigger because the dollar numbers are bigger, and those have now been addressed. So that's kind of where I come down on it, is that the fraud that was associated with Tony was relatively minor in dollar amounts, and based on all of the investigation that's been done, and the company brought in Ike Bailey as an independent, nationally known accounting firm to look at this very hard because we have those same concerns that Ms. Franco is raising. And based on that review, we're feeling comfortable that the fraud was limited to those items.
Yes. If we could go to page 18, please. Where we're looking at the 2012 bond series payable. Down in the list at the bottom of the page, it says 2019 to 2023 and we have the principal and the interest amount. Does that mean that the 1.5 million in interest is due every year of that time period, or is it split up among the 19 to the 23?
So correct. So standards require that we show 5 years, and then you group the next 5 years in 5-year increments. So the 1.5 is a total interest over 5 years. So yeah, I mean, we could provide you with the detailed schedule that breaks it out by year.
From Mr. Steen, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's move back to what we're going to the original part in there. I do like your comment you had on here. It says talk about controls and impact financial statements. The board of directors may not have enough detailed information to discover the errors. I think I like that comment because it's hard for us to find what kind of errors to look for. But also maybe in that statement put the management too. I mean, ways we can work together. And what Heidi was saying with Bart and maybe with you on our quarter report, maybe put out a little bit of time to put some things in place for us so that we can discover ways to pick up any errors in information and also management too, the standpoint of accounting procedure you show on. So if you get maybe on a court report between the two of you, maybe that is if it's done before, that'd be great, but at least by that period of time. So,
Go to page 20, please. Sure. I'm interested in the chart, please, at the top of the page. Looking at our long-term debt summary, please. Can you tell me why we didn't put the OPEB benefits, the OPEB, why didn't we put that in the last column, please, and add it into the due part? Is that because, it's already in the budget? I didn't think that it was, that's why I'm asking.
So, I'm sorry, I'm catching up. So page 20, the top.
And the OPEB costs, we have the balance, right, the 458,000. Why is it not included in the last column to be due?
Do with it. I think because how much would be due within 1 year? I don't think we know.
Well, we have the liability of 1.2 million, that's a yearly out. I'm just saying, why don't we include that in the figure that we should be paying that?
Right. Bart, do you know?
I don't think it's budgeted.
Our company policy is that we don't fund that. So,
We're just doing a pay-go on it?
I mean,
Okay, but we have the 1.2 million that's being projected, right?
we do have that as a projected liability, but our company policy is that we don't fund that. That is clearly written in the notes for the other post. Now, there is a GASB pronouncement coming out that will probably hit us on that, and we'll probably have to start recording it here in the near future. But as of right now, it is this company's policy that we do not record that liability, and we only pay it on an annual, well, monthly basis for what is currently due within that 1 year. So, and that's right around $47,000.
I don't know if Bart, you can answer it, or you, Mr. Tesh. The compensated absences, the terminated benefits, I can see we owe that much money, or there's that much claim there. Is that all just employee, like accrued vacation, accrued sick leave? Let's see what else. Anything else I'm missing there for those categories?
That is what that is.
Why is it that they're split out, please? I'd really like to just understand that.
Bart, you want to explain that?
They're split out because we have our termination benefits. The way we account for our sick leave versus our personal time is different. And thus, we keep them separate. We have to account for them separately. So, and I mean, they're like with PT, sick, or accrued vacation, that is something that you have earned at the end of the year. You can't have that taken away from you. But with the sick leave, we have the right to put limits on that carryover. You do have the right to put a carryover limit on PT as well, but as of right now, we've got the sick leave accrued at a much, or capped at a much higher amount than we do PT, and thus we keep them separate to account for.
Currently, sick leave is capped at 190 days total, and sick leave is capped at last year's allocation plus the current year's allocation for each employee's eligibility.
Well, Mr. Tisch, do you take any opinion or make any opinion when our OPEB costs are increasing, dramatically because everyone else's is over the years? Do you make any opinion there about whether to fund that or not?
No, we do not. So,
Too bad.
Yeah. I don't know. Management did a good job this year, I think, and went out and got a third-party kind of calculation for that. So
Yes.
we would definitely rely on their expertise.